My name is Joy Mench. I'm at the University of California, Davis in the Department of Animal Science, and I've been a member of the Poultry Science Association since 1982. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, but because of my dad's job, he got transferred really frequently. So we lived a lot of different places, suburban neighborhoods in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, outside Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh mainly. I think all that moving around gave me sand in my shoes and a love for travel. I always was willing, ready, and able to go to a new location at a moment's notice. I enjoyed the variety. My dad was a branch manager for Mutual of Omaha Insurance, and Mutual of Omaha sponsored the television program Wild Kingdom. And we watched that program faithfully every week, and I remember as a kid meeting Marlon Perkins, who was on that program. And also my family loved to take road trips during the summer, and wherever we went we always would go to the zoo. So I really enjoyed watching wild animals on television and in that zoo setting. When I was a young teenager, I used to go spend time with my grandparents in Omaha during the summer, and that always involved a trip out to my uncle's farm in Iowa. And my job was to take care of the young animals. So I got to bucket feed the calves and feed the chickens and the little piglets. So that was my beginning of my love, I think, for farm animals. I chose biology at San Francisco State University because I had always been interested in biology the whole time I was in junior high school and high school. I thought at one point that I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I did some volunteer work with a veterinarian and I didn't really enjoy some of the more technical aspects of that, but I still had a love for biology. Actually, at San Francisco State, the other thing I really like a lot is English and literature. So while I majored in biology, I had a minor in literature. So I managed to pursue both of my interests for my undergraduate degree. By the time I finished my undergraduate degree, I knew the two areas of biology that I was really interested in were animal physiological adaptations to the environment, as well as animal behavior. And it was that last one that led me to pursue my PhD at the University of Sussex. So England has a very strong tradition of animal behavior research. I had been to England once just to travel there and really enjoyed my time there, so I thought it would be a great experience to be able to live in a different country while I was pursuing my PhD and also my interest in animal behavior. And I went to Sussex specifically because I was interested in bird behavior, and they had a group there doing really good work on bird behavior. I initially thought that I was going to work on wild birds, on bird song, but it didn't take me long to realize that I'm not really the kind of person who wants to sit out in the field early in the morning when it's pouring with rain and it's cold. So I switched my research emphasis to work on learning behavior in birds, and just by chance, the model was the domestic chick for that research. I was led to poultry science because of my experience studying learning behavior in domestic chicks. I became really fascinated by their behavior. But in addition, at that time in England, it was really the beginning of the scientific study of animal welfare and people applying the study of animal behavior to improving the way that farm animals were housed and cared for. And I just became very interested in taking my scientific study and being able to apply it in that way to poultry science. My passion for the animal care side of my research really has always been there. I've always been very interested in animals. I hadn't actually realized, though, when I started getting my PhD, that I could take my specialization in animal behavior and use it in this very practical kind of way to improve both the treatment of farm animals and animals that are used in research. But that's been a long-standing passion of mine since I was a child, and was probably the reason I was considering going into veterinary medicine initially. What appealed to me most about UC Davis is it's really three things. First of all, it's obviously an excellent ag school. And I have to confess, when I was at San Francisco State, Davis was just kind of a place I blew by on the way to Tahoe. But I felt really differently about Davis once I started specializing in agriculture, because it's such a fantastic place to be for someone working in agriculture, and the state has a very large poultry industry. The other thing that's especially attractive about Davis is it has probably the largest group of faculty members in the United States and perhaps anywhere in the world working on animal behavior. So it's really a fabulous place to come if that's your area of study. And last for me, Davis is in California. And of all the places I've lived, California is the place I love the most. So I really wanted to come back to California. I've enjoyed my career here incredibly. I think there are lots of very interesting and important things about Davis. It's a very shared governance kind of institution that really encourages the faculty to participate in the life of the university. And I like that. I'm a very service-oriented person, and I've enjoyed very much that aspect of Davis. It's a very stimulating intellectual environment. Lots of ability to have good exchanges with colleagues and to develop collaborative research. I would say that the work I'm most proud of really falls into two areas. The first is my service-oriented work. I am a very, very service-oriented person, and not just the university service, but I've had the opportunity to serve on a lot of committees and boards and work with a lot of different organizations on animal welfare issues, and particularly setting standards and developing auditing programs for animal care. And I have found that to be very gratifying, and I feel I've really made a big contribution in that area. And I was very pleased that because of, first of all, that UC Davis encourages that kind of effort, and in fact awarded me the Distinguished Scholarly Public Service Award for those outside activities, which have actually taken a lot of time and a lot of time from my university-based activities, but have really been rewarded at UC Davis. The most satisfying part of my job is working with students, whether those are undergraduate students or graduate students. I love the ability to mentor students, and I really value my interactions with the students. The impact that students have made in my life is huge. My undergraduate students, I think, are always a source of helping me to rethink things, and I really enjoy the ability to give them the practical knowledge that I've gained going out and being involved in these various kinds of service activities. And my graduate students are just joy's joy in life. I'm very proud of their accomplishments, and my postdocs as well. And what pleases me the most is to be able to say that many of them are still not only my colleagues, but my good friends. My first mentor was Ari van Tienhoven at Cornell University, my first professional mentor. And I'm very, very grateful to Ari. He really took a chance on me. So he hired me to do my postdoc with him, even though I really had no commercial poultry experience. And he hired me to work on a project that was very commercially oriented, and I'd never even been on a poultry farm in my whole life. But he decided to take a chance on me, and he was a very generous mentor who really gave me a leg up in my career, including by, he was invited to write an article in a very prestigious journal, and he gave that to me to be the senior author on, and that really helped to launch my career. I moved from Cornell to my first faculty position at the University of Maryland, and I have to say the faculty at Maryland were wonderful mentors to me as a new faculty member. They really helped me negotiate all the things that you have to negotiate to get your tenure, but also helped by introducing me to people in the poultry industry who I would go on to work with for many years. So they were just wonderful early career mentors for me. If you do research that you really love, you're going to have a wonderful career. Be a good scientist, but also take advantage of all those opportunities you have to talk about what you do to the public, to stakeholders, and to really make a practical difference in the world, regardless of what your area of expertise within poultry science is. California Proposition 2 kind of swallowed up my life for about 8 months. I'm sure it wasn't true, but there were days when I felt like all I did all day, every day was take calls from the public, take calls from individuals in government, and participate in press interviews. It was a very, very intense time. I feel proud that I was given a grant from the California Department of Food and Agriculture to do research that helped to define what the language in the proposition means. And that paper was actually influential in setting the standards in the California Egg Safety Inspection Act. So that's a clear time for me where my research actually translated into legislation. I'd say it's also a little ironic because, in fact, prior to Proposition 2, most of my research was on broiler chickens, not laying hens. But as a result of that proposition, I became much more interested in doing research on laying hens, and I really changed my research program to focus on things like the behavior of hens in enriched colony systems, and also some of the health issues in cage-free systems. So it really did shift my research direction very significantly. We're going to continue to have a need for the kind of strong disciplinary research we've always had in the past, but it's really clear that the future of poultry is being shaped now by a lot of different social forces. And we're going to more and more have to understand about consumers' attitudes toward animals. We're going to have to fit poultry production into sustainability considerations like environmental issues. And there's also so much scope. And I think if I was having a career do-over right now, this is something I'd be very interested in for the future of poultry globally, because I think poultry production, egg production, and meat production is going to be so important in meeting food needs with the growing population in the world. And that opens up a whole bunch of areas and tasks we have to do to make that production good and sustainable in those global contexts. Being named a PSA Fellow is certainly personally very important to me. I have been a member of the Poultry Science Association since 1982, and I've always considered PSA my scientific home. I've been a member of a lot of other societies, but this is really the main society that I belong to, and the meeting that I attend regularly, and it means so much to me personally to be named a fellow. From a professional point of view, this is coming very late in my career. I'm actually going to be retiring 11 days before the poultry science meeting this year. So I think it's not going to contribute to my professional development, but again, personally, this has been such an enormous honor for me.